Hello, I'm Julie Torres, trainer for Catholic Charities Translation and Interpreter Network. Catholic Charities has been serving Fort Worth and the surrounding communities since 1910. In continuing this tradition of service, Catholic Charities Refugee Services and the Texas Department of Health began a joint project in the year 2000 to better meet the needs of the increasing refugee and immigrant populations in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. This joint project sought to create a network of trained interpreters available to serve providers such as yourself and their limited English proficient clients. Thus, the Translation and Interpreter Network was created. You might be asking yourself, is it really necessary to provide a trained interpreter? Let me assure you that the answer is definitely yes. Each interpreter in our network must go through progressive levels of intense professional training and is guided by a code of ethics that includes confidentiality, a non-judgmental attitude, accuracy and completeness in interpreting, and client self-determination. In contrast, untrained interpreters pose a legal danger by omitting or adding dialogue, changing the intended message, deleting relevant cultural information, giving personal opinion, and/or engaging in extraneous discussions that exclude either the client or the provider. Although family members are often valid support for a client, they are not appropriate interpreters. Family members, because of their personal and emotional involvement, tend to heavily edit the client's message, add personal opinions, and answer for the client. Additionally, clients may not feel comfortable sharing personal information in front of other family members. Keep in mind that although it may be more convenient to use an untrained interpreter, this solution can lead to longer appointments and multiple visits. In this video, you will witness not only the struggle that individuals with limited English experience in accessing services, but also the frustrations and liabilities that an untrained interpreter can add to an already stressful situation. In contrast, you will see the benefits and importance of using a trained interpreter to facilitate communication. In the following segment, we will watch as an Albanian couple seeks advice from an attorney. We will follow them step by step as they go through the process with an untrained interpreter and then a trained interpreter. As each interpreter works through the situation, I will highlight some key points as they occur. Now, with this in mind, let's watch as the first interpreter, in this case a niece of the couple, works with them and the attorney.
You'll just have a seat. And the attorney will be with you in a moment.
Hello, I'm Sally Jones. I'm one of the attorneys here.
Hi, I'm Katrina, and this is Matthew and his wife, Mira. I will interpret for them.
Great, let's get started.
Next, you will see an interpreter that has been professionally trained. Notice the difference in his style from that of the previous interpreter.
You'll just have a seat, please. And the attorney will be with you in a minute.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sally Jones. I'm one of the attorneys here.
Sally Jones, Hello, my name is Yari Mema, and I will be interpreting for Mr. and Mrs. Debra.
Hello. Hi.
I've already introduced myself to them, and I want to let you know a few things before we get started.
Sure.
I'm a professional interpreter with Catholic Charities Translation and Interpreting Network, and I will be interpreting everything you say as you say it. Please speak directly to the clients in short segments so I can interpret everything.
I will.
And if I raise my hand and I have a question, please pause them so I can interpret everything. Is there anything else you would like me to know?
No, I don't think so. Let's go ahead and get started.
A pre-session is an important aspect in the interpreting process. The untrained interpreter skipped the process altogether. On the other hand, the trained interpreter did a pre-session with both clients and provider. This pre-session set up some ground rules for effective communication in the interview. It also established a professional relationship between interpreter, provider, and the clients. Let's continue to watch the interpreters in action.
Tell me a little bit about what happened.
Ajuda-me ditë çfarë ka ndodhur.
Ne ishim shtëpi duke ngrënë darkë dhe ndëgjuan bërtitura në apartamentin sipër nesh. Çifti sipër nesh zihen shpesh, por kësaj radhe ishte më e zhurshme se zakonisht. Dhe gruaja po bërtiste dhe unë vendosa të thras policinë.
They were eating dinner. The couple that lives above them, the husband was beating her up, so she called the police.
Who called the police?
She did.
Let's look at this closely. The untrained interpreter didn't do a very accurate interpretation. She changed the message of the client in a number of ways. She omitted some of what was said. She added some things that hadn't been said, and she changed the meaning of some of what was said. For example, beating up and arguing a lot are different things. Let's look at this the right way.
Tell me a little bit about what happened.
Më tregoni pak se çfarë ndodhi.
Ne ishim shtëpinë tonë duke ngrënë darkë
We were at home eating dinner,
dhe ndëgjuam të bërtitura në apartamentin sipër nesh.
and we heard yellings in the apartment above us.
Çifti sipër nesh zihen shpesh,
The couple above us argues a lot,
por kësaj radhe ishte më e zhurshme se sa zakonisht.
but this time it was worse than usual,
Dhe gruaja po bërtiste
and the woman was screaming,
dhe unë vendosa të thras policinë.
and I decided to call the police.
The trained interpreter did an accurate, though not necessarily literal, interpretation. Nothing was added, omitted, or changed. Now let's get back to our interview.
What happened when the police showed up?
Çka ndodhi kur erdhën policia?
Më arrestuan mua.
They arrested him.
Why?
Pse të kanë arrestuar?
Anglishtja ime nuk është aq e mirë. Unë mundosha t'ja shpjegoj policisë në telefon, për ata me siguri më kanë keq kuptuar. Dhe menduan që unë po merrja në telefon për burrin tim. Kur ata ardhën në shtëpi, arrestuan burrin tim. Ne nuk mund bënim gjë, se oficeri nuk na kuptonte.
Her English is bad. When she called the police about the situation, they must have misunderstood her. They arrested her husband instead. They couldn't do much. The officers couldn't understand them. I'm sure you can clear this record, right? It's just a big misunderstanding. Would you like for me to let them know you can fix this mess?
It's not that easy. I have some more questions first.
This sort of interaction is very common when working with an untrained interpreter. First, she got into a side conversation with the attorney from which the couple was excluded. In this side conversation, she added her own opinion and she even offered advice to the attorney. Watch now as the trained interpreter handles the interview.
What happened when the police showed up?
Çfarë ndodhi kur erdhi policia?
Më arrestuan mua.
They arrested me.
Why?
Pse?
Anglishtja ime nuk është aq e mirë.
My English isn't very good.
Unë mundosha t'ja sqaroj policisë situatën në telefon,
I was trying to explain the situation to the police on the phone,
por ata me siguri më kanë keq kuptuar. Menduan se u merrja në telefon për burrin tim.
but of course they misunderstood me and thought I was calling about my husband.
Ata kur erdhën në shtëpi arrestuan burrin tim.
When they showed up at my home, they arrested my husband.
Ne nuk mund bënim gjë. Oficeri nuk na kuptonte.
There was nothing we could do. The officer could not understand us.
The trained interpreter didn't offer any advice or opinions. Furthermore, there were no side conversations. Notice also that this interpreter uses the first person. For example, when the client said, "I called the police," the interpreter related exactly that. I called the police. This way, both client and provider speak directly to each other and can hear exactly how the other express themselves. On the other hand, the untrained interpreter uses reported speech, or the third person. This takes longer and can be confusing if the interpreter needs to intervene. Let's get back to our interview as it comes to a close.
This is how it's going to work. We will go to court and explain it to the judge. I will tell the judge their side of the story, and I believe the judge will dismiss his case.